everyone, it's Steve. I'm coming to you from one of the classrooms in Moy Hall, and I chose this classroom in particular because it's right next to my office, so it was really easy to get to, right? But I wanted to come to you in a classroom because this is the gold standard. Face-to-face communication where you can see your students, they can see you, you can talk and interact, you can physically do things. They've got lots of stuff here, markers, papers, books. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they do to interactively learn here in this classroom. But not all learning happens in the classroom, right? We've got online learning now. We're trying to teach people and communicate through digital channels. Now, distance learning isn't new. The first distance learning program where they offered a degree was actually by the University of London, right? And that was done in, wait for it, 1858. No joke. That wasn't through computers, obviously. That was through the mail. It was a correspondence degree, but it was a legit program. It was a legit degree. Now, as we've gotten through the years, we've got better and better technology. Web conferencing is almost instantaneous now, where we can see and hear and do a lot of things together. COVID really pushed that, right? Like almost everybody's has experienced that. I think it was like 94% of students worldwide had gone on the web during COVID. But this isn't new either. Back in the 1970s, Dr. Michael Moore was interested in studying digital communications as a means to teach and a means for students to learn. And he came up with the Transactional Distance Theory to explain and give a framework for studying and thinking about and designing curriculum through digital communication methods. Now, in the 70s, it was a lot clunkier than we've got now. They didn't have web conferencing and smartphones and yada, 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 iPads or whatever. But as we've gone on, it's just gotten better and better and better and better. And not surprisingly, early on in the 70s and 80s, the computing technology wasn't great. The results of those studies were kind of mixed and varied. But as we've gotten better and we've gotten something that feels like two-way, even what we're doing right now is digital communication, right? But it's one way. But now that we've gotten into really good, instantaneous two-way communication. I was in a class in my PhD program, and one of the students was in Saudi Arabia. It was in the middle of the night for him, but bummer for that. But he still did it, and it was real-time synchronous learning. As it's gotten better, we've found that Moore's transactional distance theory is proving to be correct, and it gives us a framework to think about how to teach online. And the basis of the theory is this: it's a psychology theory, really. It's thinking about the perceived distance between one person and the next distance, one person and the next person. So what's the distance between you as a learner and me as an instructor? Now, think of it this way. I'm here in San Antonio, Texas. I was born and raised in Michigan. You know, all Michiganders. I was born in Detroit. I grew up in Michigan. It's the smitten with the mitten. We've always got a map of Michigan. So my family is all still up there. And if I write a letter to my family, what's the perceived distance between what they're doing and what I'm doing? There's a huge distance, and it's a big gap in communication. But if I call them, now what's the perceived distance? Am I closer to them? Am I farther away? Do I feel closer to my family calling them, or do I feel closer to them writing a letter? Now, think about it this way. Do I feel closer to my family if I use a phone call, or if I use a video call? Now that's a much, much closer feeling. I can see what's going on. I can see what my nieces and nephews are doing. I can see what my grandnieces are doing. Great nieces, grandnieces, my niece's kids and my nephew's kids, whatever they're called. But as I use the technology, I can feel closer. And the more that gap reduces, the more we can replicate the same type of feeling that we've got here in an in-person classroom. Now, we've gotten to the point that if we design online training right, we can get the same results that we do here. But it has to be designed that way. We have to design intentionally for the online classroom. We can't just take something from an in-person lecture or an in-person interactivity and try to force fit it into an online environment. It has to be built for that. And if we build it, we can reduce that perceived distance between the student and us, and we can still get that same connection, because we have to have high structure. We have to have a high connection between the student and the instructor. We have to have high interaction between students and their peers to get that support and persistence that they need. And we'll talk about all of these things in the article that's on this page. So I hope it inspires you, and I hope it ignites your student success.